All right, well, welcome. Thanks everybody for joining. We're really excited to talk about how to get the right customers for your home service business today. I'm Kirby Oscar, VP of Vertical Growth here at Scorpion. Thrilled to have some awesome panelists with me today. We got Ashley Kim, who runs advertising, and Matt Bentley, who's going to talk to us about all things SEO. And is our chief data scientist. And so some really interesting stuff that we've been working on there. For those that have not met Scorpion before, we empower local businesses to thrive and grow. And so excited to talk about a couple of the strategies we do to make that happen today. Mostly marketing solutions. We're going to talk a little bit about reputation and the impact that has on those tactics. But without further ado, I want to give a moment for Ashley to introduce himself, and we'll do the same for you too, Matt.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm Ashley Kim. I'm the head of Scorpion Advertising Products strategy as well as campaign support, and very much looking forward to chatting with you all about advertising. And just very excited to help you out here, Kirby, with a great message and conversation today.
Can't wait. As I joked before this, my goal here is to poke the experts and get as much information out of them as possible.
All right, and I'm Matt Bentley. I've been working in SEO since about 2002. I founded back in 2010 one of the first SEO software companies to apply data science and machine learning called Can I Rank. Scorpion acquired Can I Rank in 2021 and turned that into what we now call Ranking.ai, which is our AI-powered SEO solution. And along with that, I also help with other areas of Scorpion's machine learning and AI initiatives.
Well, obviously a hot topic right now, so excited to hear how we're applying that. I know that we're pumped about it internally, and even more excited to talk about it more, outside the business and the impact it has on our customers.
A lot of opportunity right now, definitely, and we're going after all of them.
I love it. I love it. So a couple of things, like as we jump into this, why is it so important to focus on the right customers? One of the things that we find is like 60% of customers expect companies to understand their needs. Like, what does that mean if you're trying to grow your business or to do marketing? Like, it's really important to know what you want to service, right? I think specifically one of the things I talk to a lot of HVAC companies about, or plumbing companies about, is like, marketing is your time to be targeted. Right? Like, let that resonate. It is your time to be targeted. If you don't want to do commercial work, don't advertise commercial work. Don't just advertise that you do HVAC service. Mention that you do residential service. Make sure that you are focused in your advertising or your keywords or your website. Like, those things are just so critical. And so, customers that come to you and have a bad experience because you're not offering a service, or you are targeting them and they're not the right one, are going to be frustrated at the beginning of that customer journey. I think another thing to note is like 1 in 4 customers will pay more money if they feel like you're the best company to do that work for them. And so targeting the right company allows you to have a little bit more flexibility in both your pricing and then also empowering yourself to give the best customer experience and charge for it. So I want to make sure that is really hitting home today. And then if you aren't focused on the needs of your customer, you aren't advertising the right messaging to them, you aren't resonating with what they want from you, they'll look elsewhere. You will miss out on business. So really want to make sure that we're focused on those 3 things as we go into the conversation today around why it's so important to target the right customers, because that is the top of the customer journey. And we want to help you execute that seamlessly. So as I said, I'm here to poke and pry on this one, but the reason we wanted some experts from Scorpion that focus on this stuff every day to talk to the home service market is to really dive into, like, what are we doing behind the scenes? Why is SEO so important to acquiring new customers? Why is it so much more cost effective to acquire new customers over time? And what does Scorpion think about that? And I thought, nobody better to tell that story than Matt. So Matt, like, why even look at SEO to acquire new customers?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to consider is just the magnitude of the opportunity here. And probably everyone here understands that getting good Google search engine rankings is important, but you may not realize like just how big Google search is as a customer source. They get around almost 300 million searches every hour just through Google, excluding all of their search engines. That's almost as much traffic as Yelp gets in a month. Of those, 46%, according to Google, are for a local business or service. So a good chunk is relevant, even with many local businesses out there. And 28% of those searches go on to result in a purchase. So massive, massive pool of customers. And I don't think it's very controversial to say like, hey, do you want free customer leads from Google organic search? Everyone is happy about that. The controversial part is, should I actually invest and spend money in SEO to try and get more of those? And one thing that's been interesting that we've been seeing there is that the gap between people who are spending money on SEO and people who are not spending money on SEO is getting wider. So in that graph there, you can see it used to be about the same, how much you grew your organic search traffic, whether or not you're buying SEO. Then in 2021, people with SEO grew much more. 2022, it actually went even further, and the average business without SEO even declined a little bit, and those with SEO continue to grow at a really high rate. So the conclusion here is basically SEO is becoming harder. It's becoming more competitive. And I think that's something that we see across marketing in lots of different channels, right? So unless you are an expert, then the need to do that yourself is becoming more and more important.
So as you're looking at like the competitive nature of that, like what's your recommendation to a local business at this point, especially as they're like opening their doors, they're starting to see customer traction, they want to have a digital presence, or they already have a website, but they really have not invested there? Like, what are some of the first steps to help them compete, given that there's such a discrepancy between those that are spending on it and those that are not?
Yeah, I mean, that's where you have to start from. You start from, okay, I understand that this is the biggest source of potential customers. Then if you believe, okay, working with professionals is going to help me here, then you kind of do the math on understanding how much that gain would be worth it. And for most customers, that leads to a very, very profitable channel, even with a significant SEO spend. It's about 90% less than ads for acquiring a customer on average. That work there, I mean, that's where we get into the entire subject of SEO. The good news is that when you're doing SEO, the way that we feel SEO should be done properly, it's really about making your business better in the eyes of Google and other search engines. We're not trying to outsmart Google or trick them or anything like that. Like, Google wants to reward the best businesses, the ones who have the best content and who are recognized by customers and peers. So everything we do is about that. It's about educating your customers. It's about building you up into an authority. It's about helping you get recognition. All of those strategies, they help your rankings, and it just makes your business and your website better overall.
Sounds like it helps you tell your story too. Like, telling your story digitally is probably the most powerful thing that SEO can do for you, because it's what makes you show up and be able to tell it.
Absolutely.
So couple other questions that I had on SEO. There's obviously lots of benefits there, but when you're leaning on a partner, this is one of the areas where you have to invest to see like long-term gains. What are some things you should take into account when you're initially like launching your SEO strategy?
So I think that your most important challenge here is figuring out where to invest and allocate your resources. So SEO is different from other areas of marketing because it's a competition, right? It's a race against other players who are trying to compete for the exact same rankings as you. So just like other competitions, you need to be the most efficient possible. And that's actually a pretty good segue into our kind of data science and AI side. I could talk about that a little bit. Maybe if we go to the next slide here. So AI is making everything more efficient. You guys are probably aware of that. And what we leverage AI for is helping our specialists identify the most important strategy or tasks for SEO. So all the work is still done by human experts. Our SEO specialists on our team are fantastic, world-class, and that's never going to go away, that need for human experts. But the AI can sort through tons and tons of data, literally thousands of points, to identify these specific opportunities, like hidden gems or keywords that a lot of people are searching for that no one or very few people are competing for, or the big weaknesses in your site. And so these on the screen here, there's some specific examples from one of our plumbing clients called Brownies, where the AI identified a couple of themes, like they offer free estimates, and we found that in their market, there was a lot of demand for that, not a lot of competition. So our SEO specialist, in this case, Tyler Bergman, jumped in, completed the recommendations on that strategy, and sure enough, a week or so later, those rankings jumped, some of them 5-6 pages higher. Same thing below, commercial plumbing and Orlando Commercial Plumber. Good opportunity, not being fully capitalized on. A little work from the specialists managed to get those onto page 1. If you go to the next slide.
So, and if I'm hearing you correctly on that, Matt, like our team is spending less time hunting for the opportunities and more time deploying them.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the key thing here, right? I mean, each of these, we're looking at thousands of data points. We're looking at the competitors and what they're doing. We're looking at how many people are searching the keywords. We have historic data on how well those keywords performed in other markets that we can lean on. And you put all of that together, I mean, theoretically, an SEO expert could do that as well, right? I mean, it's a lot of research and a lot of analysis. So what this AI does is it lets our specialists spend their time on the things that humans are best at, and that's the classic SEO work. That's making content that connects to your customers and helps build up your expertise. It's connecting with other authorities in the market and trying to build up your reputation. It's making the site more usable and helping it convert better. All of those things. It's just we're helping them be a little bit more focused, right?
One other question while we're focused on this, one thing that we obviously do a lot of and are known for in the market is our websites, like absolutely beautiful websites. Why do you, like, we've got the expert on the line, like why do you think it's so important that your website company be the one that's deploying your SEO strategies?
Yeah, I mean, the websites are built from day one to have a framework both at the entire site level and at each page level that kind of gives us the scaffolding for an effective SEO campaign. Google likes to see things organized thematically, so you can explore a topic and demonstrate that you're an expert in that. They like to see certain elements on the page that help to reinforce that this is a really good source of information or a really good business to work with. Things like awards and testimonials that build your credibility. So it's just, I mean, we've been building websites for 20 years and it's evolved over the years to have this kind of perfect mix of all of those elements. So that goes into the SEO performance and the things that Google looks at, like, do people stay on the page when they click through on a Google search result to this website? Do they end up becoming a customer? Do they go back to it? Do they bookmark it? All of those things, they start with having a great website. So our SEO team is just building on that foundation that comes from day one, and that's really important for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Before we move on, we should see if this actually works. So next slide. And then you can see what happened for Brownies in particular. So I think this one's interesting because Brownies has been a long-term client for us, a great client. And we've always kind of steadily had organic growth. But in the middle of 2022, that's the turquoise colored bar chart there, we launched Ranking.ai, our new AI-powered solution, and almost immediately we saw an uptick in the growth rate, and the growth rate actually tripled over this period of time. Yeah, we're in August now of 2023, so this chart isn't fully updated, but they beat their 2022 numbers way back in June, and they're on track to pretty much double prior years, and that's after many years, 5-6 years of steady growth. So it's really impressive the way that AI has enabled us to accelerate how much we're able to grow clients.
It's awesome. Yeah, no, I get so excited about this. I think one of the things that I try to talk to our customers all the time about is like, how are we deploying these applications? What impact it has on them, and how excited they should be about the work we're doing, the R&D we're doing to really have a major impact on their results. So appreciate you sharing. Last thing for you, Matt, and then we'll jump into some of the advertising stuff that Ashley's going to talk through. But if you were to tell somebody what makes Scorpion so different on the SEO front, what would that be versus competitors kind of in the home service market?
Of course, as chief data scientist, I would love to emphasize our AI and our data-driven approach. And that's part of it for sure. We're able to be just that much more efficient. But the truth is that piece without the human experts wouldn't be nearly as effective. And for many years before AI existed, before I was part of Scorpion had a fantastic SEO service, and that's thanks to all of the people on board who really know the subject matter well. So other agencies, they offshore, they outsource, the intern is doing the optimization on your page, etc. Like we have a really good team. They've been working specifically in home services for a long time. They know inside and out the keywords that work in every industry, the nuances in content, so that you're describing something accurately and not setting unrealistic expectations for customers. And that built-in expertise that you get along with the technology, I mean, that's certainly equally important.
What gets me excited. So I appreciate it, Matt. I think we'll circle back a little bit on why it's so important to have a powerful reputation in conjunction with a strong SEO strategy here in just a bit. But Ashley, love to talk to you about Scorpion Advertising, why we take the approach we do there. What does that mean for our customers? What does that mean, and why should more potential customers come do advertising with us? But I'll pass the mic to you. Why is Scorpion so well known for our advertising product?
Yeah, thank you, Kirby, and Matt, very well said on your end as well. As far as how Scorpion looks at advertising, one of the trends that I think everybody on this call has probably noticed, at least those that have done digital advertising over the last few years, is that lead costs have been rising, right? And they've been steadily rising, especially at Google. And one of the approaches that we have taken to address the rising lead costs are we are focusing on how to diversify your dollars best, so that we can look for other advertising platforms outside of just Google to ensure that your cost per lead and your cost per acquisition is still giving you a very positive return on investment to keep your trucks moving and also to keep your business very cash flow positive. And so Google's been a wonderful source of leads for so many years, but it's become the most expensive source of leads. And looking to diversify out of Google, similar to how you would in the stock market, make sure you have a lot of different asset types so that you can get performance and balanced performance to fuel your business.
That makes sense. So as you're looking at other channels, what are some of the channels that are exciting you right now?
Yeah, absolutely. For example, I recently had just for my personal use, I recently had a issue with my air conditioning unit. Luckily, I have 2 units in my home, one of which went out. Went to Thumbtack, right? Found a couple of HVAC contractors, got a few quotes, and ended up purchasing a new HVAC unit, right? 5 years ago, Thumbtack wasn't even an option. Being on my side of the fence, I have a very good understanding of what that lead cost at Thumbtack would cost an HVAC business versus what it would cost on Google versus what it would cost on Thumbtack. And that lead might have been a $200 to $300 lead on Google. That lead on Thumbtack was probably less than $50, right? And so the question to you is that, as a business, if you want to grow your business, you must be willing to adopt new platforms and new advertising channels so that you can take advantage of these lead sources while they're still very affordable.
And so if we're onboarding a new customer here and they're going to deploy advertising dollars, what are we're obviously allocating to different channels based on the cost per lead or cost per acquisition. If they have a small budget, they're starting out and they're in a home service business specifically. You just mentioned HVAC, so we'll stick on that topic. Are we going to invest in each of those? Are we going to push them down the route of Thumbtack? Like, kind of what's our stance and point of view on that?
Yeah, so our stance and our point of view is we want to go where your dollars can be best spent, right? We not only build you campaigns on Google, but also Bing. We want to build you out local services ads. We look at Yelp, Thumbtack, Angie, and a number of other premium directory sources out there. And really what our systems do, Matt talks about how AI drives a lot of decision-making as far as what to look for. Our systems really drive your dollars where the leads are coming in from. Right. As a home services business, the utilization and the yield per crew or per truck, I know is very critical to every one of you. And if we can get you more leads for your dollar because we're spending it smarter, we're going to do that. And we're going to have, our AI systems help guide where your dollars go.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think one of the things I always tell people when they ask me what attracted me to Scorpion was like our attention to detail on spending your money the most effective way as possible. And we're not just like tossing a logo on our website and saying, we're going to pump all your money to this organization. It's going to be awesome. You're along for the ride. Like, we're very much trying to diversify our advertising channel set, making sure that it's the right channels, looking at performance over time. And that stuff just gets me excited because I've seen I've been specifically with HVAC, plumbing contractors, working with them for the last 8 years. And the amount of money that goes to the wrong channels, ill-advised, is infuriating. It's like the number one place they're investing. And, the fact that it can go awry drives me nuts. So always excited about the work you're doing there.
Absolutely.
What are some successes you're seeing with kind of those diversified channels, some client stories that you've been really excited about?
Yeah. So as far as the client story I would like to share, it's actually a series of electricians, multiple locations for this electrician business. And we were tasked basically to maximize, the utilization per truck per day, right? So we would look out at their forward bookings. We'd have an idea by day how many bookings per truck per location they had. And our job was to get them as close to 100% per day as possible, right? We couldn't have done this without the use of diversifying channels, right? If you look at the graph on the bottom left here, over time this year, you've seen the count of leads rise, right? What you also see in the middle graph here is, yes, there was an initial spike with the dark blue line of the cost per lead, right? Versus the total spend. But you'll notice also as the spend increased, we actually got a good handle on cost per lead and efficiency. And you'll see also that cost per lead started to trend lower, right? If we were to funnel all this money into Google, we never could have achieved an equilibrium point with the cost per lead or the efficiency of the dollar used, just because at some point in time, you can only spend so much on Google without creating your own inflation on Google, right? And I think you've all seen this where there's a single ad unit that publishes, everybody is scrambling to pay for that ad unit. For an HVAC click, that might be $100. For a plumbing click, that might be $50. And if you do the math on that, the click to lead, the lead to booking, and the booking to acquisition or job, those dollars spend really fast if you're not smart with it, right? And so what the chart on the right shows here, because we leveraged every channel that we thought was a viable channel for this electrical business, you'll notice the spend curves on the right show, and also the lead curves on the right show a rise over time by channel for the most part, right? And also, this is what allowed us to not overinflate the cost per lead for this electrical business, right? So the key really is how can you dynamically move budgets? And that's where a system like Scorpions comes into play. If you're getting really good yield off of Yelp, we want to spend more money on Yelp. If you're getting really good yield off of Google LSAs, we want to spend more money on LSAs. If we are tapped out on another channel and we can't spend more, we got to find another channel to, funnel money into where we can still get you an effective cost per lead, so that your cost per acquisition is where you need it to be, right? So I would suggest to everybody, if you haven't thought of or explored these new channels, think of where the shift in demographics is moving in your marketplaces. The traditional marketing channels, linear television, newspaper, yellow pages, long a thing of the past. Even Google itself, Google search, it is getting more competitive and more difficult. The younger the homeowner are, I think the more likely they are to experiment with new lead advertising channels, because it's just the way, the demographics are moving. And so I encourage you all to look at them. I encourage you to look at a company that knows how to manage them. And I encourage you to think through things like, how do I dynamically adjust my budget so that I'm getting a really good yield for my dollar?
When you look at Scorpion's competitive set, and I'll stop for a second. That's awesome. I'm obviously, I'll always say I'm obviously on the younger demographic side of this, and like the way I am looking to fix or repair or work on my home is obviously very different. Besides on the lawn care side, great door knocker, got really excited the day I literally moving truck pulled away and the guy walks up and was like, you definitely need somebody to cut your grass now. But on a majority of the search engines, people are going through different channels. I get excited about new ones, but I know that they take time to prove out and we need repeatable models. And so I think what I like about we're testing them, making sure they're repeatable before we're allocating spend, which has always resonated with me, especially because people want to kind of dip their toe in at times when they're new channels entering markets. Like I get lots of questions around Nextdoor and Thumbtack, etc. But some of those may perform better in different markets than others. But I think it's probably most important, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but to pick a partner that's paying attention to that. I don't know if you are spending money to have a marketing partner is a local business, you should trust them to advise you on the channels you should be deploying your money in some capacity.
Absolutely, Kirby. It's well said. And on top of that too, how do you distribute dollars between your channels daily so that you have the yield you want? Because in the end, you want a fully booked truck every single day.
Yeah, so true. And frankly, there's so many systems today, especially kind of in the middle market. If you're running a field service software or you're running a booking tool in general, your capacity.
Yep.
And so I think really looking to a partner that can toggle that budget, make sure that you're filling up your capacity. And if you don't know that, that's an area that you should be investing in, learning that, getting those insights back so that you can be more dependent on a marketing partner to help fill that capacity that you have. Which I think is just a phenomenal place for the home service market to be today. That was not the case even 6 years ago. And today, we're starting to talk about things like, how impactful online booking can be to fill in capacity and automation there. Just a lot of attractive things, I think, for home service businesses today that just didn't exist.
Absolutely.
Actually, before we move on to talking about reputation a bit here, like anything else that you want our audience to know on Scorpion's advertising philosophy or the product at large?
Yeah, I would say the departing note here is I think in the digital advertising world, there is an overemphasis on placing your bids for placement, like literally placement. I need to show up first. You are literally playing the highest possible price to show up first, right? Scorpion's approach is let's understand the return on investment you want for your advertising dollars. And our advertising systems will then dictate how we place your ads and how we bid on your ads, right? And so if you bid for ROI, not bid for placement, I think whomever you work with, I think you'll be much, much happier with the result.
It's awesome.
Hey, Kirby.
Layman's terms of spend smarter, right? Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, I think it's interesting just listening to you guys hearing about how complementary the two channels are here. I mean, what Ashley is saying about being able to fill your schedule with a predictable number of leads from advertising, you would never be able to do that through SEO, right? And that's a major challenge with SEO is the time that it takes and the up and down. On the other hand, if you're filling that capacity fully with ads, it's too expensive. So you kind of put the two of them together, and you can, over time, reduce the cost of all of those leads by getting more and more of them through free channels like Google Search. But keep your trucks full with paid and smooth out those fluctuations in SEO. Then, yeah, it really seems like a good combo.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think I was just at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about like seasonality. And obviously right now, if you're an HVAC business, like, I don't know what it was here in Atlanta today, like 98 degrees, but very busy organic time of year. Obviously people are spending significantly on advertising right now. And then you've got these other seasons. And they were talking about, the other ways, whether it's service agreements that they're offsetting their capacity. And I commented, I was like, I just think it's important to have a mix and like think about it. I mean, the amount of businesses that you talk to that they're not even thinking about that mix. And so it's all into one channel or all into one growth strategy, but just having like a couple of dials that you can turn on the business to make sure that you're keeping employees, which cost you per hour, engaged and at full capacity all the time, really has the biggest impact on the business throughout a year. Might not in this month or in that month, but really being able to turn those dials. So it's a phenomenal point on the mix, and just diversifying in general your kind of growth strategy, and frankly having a partner to work with on that. So Andrew, if you wouldn't mind, next slide here. Awesome. So I think that it's really important, and again, I said at the beginning of this, not here to just listen to me talk, but I do want to tie in another mix here, because no matter what channel or what strategy we're talking about to drive business back to you, to find you, to engage with your brand, like reputation is so important. And one of the number one things that I continue to see is a lack of focus on consistency in managing your reputation. You've either, purchased a tool at some point and you automated reviews at some point, and then you stopped or you moved tools and you're not responding to reviews. And I think one of the things is it's not as, I think I spent from like 2017 to 2020 on like, everybody needs a reputation product. You can automate review requests, you can respond to them here. And there was a lot of hype around building that foundational presence. And I think something that's been lost is like the consistency in that. I don't know how many businesses I go to today and I look at their last review and it was 3 or 4 years ago, or it was 4 months ago, but they've got thousands of them, which means that maybe they've lost a little bit of oomph, maybe they've lost their service level, maybe they're not focused on this anymore. And so as a consumer, I think that it's really important, if you're going to spend money on an awesome website, you're going to spend money on an SEO strategy, you're going to spend money on advertising, you need to make sure that they're still landing on a updated, positive, and informative reputation. And so I can't underestimate like the impact it has. 72% of customers will not buy anything until they see some sort of review. I personally am reading the responses on there now. So at Scorpion, we've tried to make that front and center for you in our platform, to where you can go in and respond, request those reviews and stay consistent. While I want that to be in the Scorpion platform, I think what's most important, based on the topics of conversation today, is to really just have that landing pad, that when they hit your Google business page, like that they are finding a solid review foundation that's consistent and up to date. And I'll go to you, Matt, like when you see the impact on SEO or conversions, is reputation a place that you're dialing into when you're looking at a local business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a critical piece. So actually, one of our attendees here brought up a great example in the Q&A about Electrician Lincoln, Nebraska. And you can see this strong correlation between these guys have great reviews and they're ranking well in Google results. And so there's a few things that Google is looking at when it comes to reviews. First thing is review velocity. So that's in a recent time window, like say 1 month, how many reviews did you bring in over that month compared to your competitors? And so that's why those guys who had 500 reviews 10 years ago when they paid attention to it, but none recently, are falling behind, right? So, and that's also good because that's an opportunity for newer players to catch up. So review velocity, number one, review rating, like how good your overall rating is, number two. And then number three is the indirect effects of, like, if I click through on a Google map listing or a Google search result and sort of do my due diligence on a business, find a horrible reputation and go back to Google and search for somebody else and then ultimately choose someone else, that sends the message to Google like, hey, you shouldn't be ranking this business up high because they didn't satisfy your user in that interest. So yeah, lots of influence from the reviews on Google's channels in particular, but really on all channels.
And actually, like when you think about the money people are spending to like land that lead to engage with the business, like do you see this as having a major impact on the conversion rates? You already kind of went through that funnel from, you know, for cost to acquire a customer, but is this a major component of that?
Absolutely. A few layers to think through. Some of them, common sense, but good to call out. One is, just as a consumer experience, consumers generally are not one click, one call, one close. They shop, right? Consumers like to shop, and it's a balance of, do I trust your business, right? So that can mean a lot of different things, but trust often comes through reviews, right? And also, can you serve my needs? And the third thing is, do I feel like the price is fair, right? And so reviews will help all those things because it gives you third-party credibility, period, right? The second piece is most advertising placements, not all, but most placements are combined with a review rating, right? So go to Yelp, go to Thumbtack, go to Angie, just Google somebody and see what comes back. It's hard to look up a local business on any platform without some type of review score accommodating that ad placement, right? And so we've had many feedback points from our providers that reviews matter, and especially when the review rating and the review commentary is in your ad placement. And to your point, Kirby, I would do everything you can that's reasonable to make sure that you earn your good reviews and you get them documented.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll say here, and then I want to make sure that we've got time to answer any questions that are out there. Just the consistency. I mean, I don't think I do anything where I am the consumer at this point where I don't get an engagement survey afterwards. Whether it's getting on a plane, eating in a restaurant, getting out of a Uber or a taxi, I got a sandwich for lunch. I got a message afterwards, positive. Do you like your sandwich? I'm like getting text, all those are kind of table stakes in the consumer experience. You complete the work, you give feedback, and it allows a business to constantly iterate and make sure that they're providing the best customer experience. But I don't think there's a lot of areas in your life today, and this is on a $8 sandwich, not a $2,000, $3,000, $10,000 HVAC replacement. So validating that customer experience, especially when you're the owner of the business, not fulfilling the work, and you're trusting your team to do that. I think that feedback in aggregate is just so critical. Well, perfect. Well, thank both of you guys for chiming in on this. I want to take some time for Q&A. I know, Matt, you mentioned that you'd responded to some of this in here. First, I was supposed to mention this at the beginning, but I got too excited. We are recording this. We will share a copy with everybody. The slides will be in that. It looks like Andrew is saying that we can include the slides as well in that follow-up email. And then Brian asked, if I search for an electrician in Lincoln, Nebraska, in incognito window, Google brings up a list of 5 companies in a box. All of these companies show 5 Facebook stars. Is Facebook more important than SEO? Matt, I know you answered the question here, but I'd like for everybody to kind of hear the response here, because I think, you know, that's an important call out when Facebook is such a relied upon advertising channel, and for, you know, a Facebook business page, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great illustration of the role that reviews and reputation play in SEO. Those are absolutely intertwined. Google gives the most weight to their own platform, unsurprisingly, if you've dealt with Google. But other review platforms like Facebook, like Yelp, and so on, are other signals to Google how important of a business you are and how well regarded you are by your customers. So I think that's a really good example and illustration of that happening. I wouldn't say it's necessarily more important than SEO. There needs to be execution on both of them. And that's one of the things that makes it so hard these days. And one of the reasons why it can be really helpful to work with a single partner. If your reputation is stellar, we can spend our time and resources on other areas that are in more need. But if you come in with a weak reputation, then that's absolutely something that's going to get flagged and should be addressed.
Makes sense. There's a couple other questions here, and I'll let you guys kind of take these. But one is, I've not worked with a marketing partner before, or invested in a marketing partner before, and I've been doing okay. Why should I do that moving forward?
You want to take that one, Ashley?
Yeah, I'll start with that. Like I'm not sure like where your business is in your journey. You may be, you know, a 5 truck business. You may be a 50 truck business. I'm not sure. But what I can say is at some point in time, managing the advertising becomes increasingly difficult as you get larger and larger, right? And so, you know, me personally, I have a financial advisor, for example. And, you know, when you have an investment in something, and it's an amount that matters to you very deeply, you want to know you have a trusted advisor to work with a platform that you can work through, so that you can, you know, you get the return that you want to get. So, you know, I would encourage you to consider it. And, you know, and there's a reason why we love working with local businesses, is because we want to part with you, not only through a tech platform, but also through our people, to make sure, you know, we hit your goals.
Matt, anything you'd add there? I obviously have my strong opinions on this, but anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting to look at you know, what you can sort of stock away like money in the bank in terms of your reputation and your growth and things like that, even if you don't absolutely need the additional leads coming in right now. Like, say, your business is doing great, you're very busy, you're at capacity without a ton of marketing investment. There are longer term investments that you can make that are going to put you in a position to be comfortable in the future when things like there may not be as many customers coming in the door. So I know, for example, during COVID, when a lot of revenue dried up, folks who had previously invested in SEO and they were getting all of their customer leads for free were in a much better position than those who had to be paying every single month to keep the lights on and keep new people coming in. So you, by continually working with a partner, even if you feel that you're doing okay, you kind of build up this asset that is your brand and your you know, awareness of your company on all of these channels. And those are going to pay dividends for years and years to come. So it's actually better to invest in marketing when you don't have the urgent need and cash flow isn't super tight. And that's going to put you in the position to still be comfortable later.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. I mean, I love talking to, and at the end of the day, I think there's something like 7,500 new just HVAC businesses that open on a annual basis in the US, like open up an LLC, and which is a crazy stat to me. But I think at the end of the day, it's like setting what goal you have for yourself. I, come from a really small town where the same HVAC company that's there, that's been coming to my parents' and grandparents' house when I was very little, is the same one coming now. The son just took over that business. There's only 2,500 people in that town. Am I going to go tell them that they should like dump a lot of money into their business? Probably not, right? And I think that's okay. Like, that's what I love about small businesses in the US. Like, you can kind of pick your path. Now, if you're in a market and you want to grow and you want some predictability and sustainability for the business, or you want to sell your business one day, like, there's a much different conversation that needs to be had. And so, I think it's really important to kind of sit down with yourself, your partner, your business partner, and have those conversations and start to lay out, hey, this is what I want the business to look like in 6 months or 12 months and in 5 years from now. Because it's not always the right time, or there might not be the right answer there. And though I work for Scorpion and want to be that partner, I think it's also naturally okay to kind of accept where you want to be in the business, and if it's going wonderful, then more power to you, and you're doing a phenomenal job in your community. So who am I, as I like to say. Well, thank you guys so much for the time today. Been a pleasure chatting with both of you. Again, this is recorded. We'll share this out. We'll also share the deck. If you have any other questions, or you want to talk more about your business, like, we do growth analyses with businesses all day long. We got a phenomenal team that will talk to you about those goals. They'll encourage the same thing. Like, we really want to set people up for success based off of their goals and their desired outcome, not ours. And so really, like, framing that up is so important, so that you can come in, pick the right strategy to help grow your business and make an impact in your local community. And that's what we're here for. So thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it. Ashley, Matt, y'all are awesome. And thank you guys so much for spending the time here.
Pleasure.
Pleasure speaking with you.